this, but I just felt like it was way too disconnected and insane. I did keep some clips, which you'll see from previous days, but yeah, so welcome back to Gray Magnolias. I'm Alma. Today I'm going to be sharing with you kind of like my October, November TBR and things I've read, because we're almost at an end of October. The rest of this year is just kind of flying by. Sorry, I needed to get some water. So, and then I've already returned some books, so I'll put here pictures. So I read Poppy War. I'm almost done with book 3, and I kept seeing it on Instagram, and I was just like, I need to read it. The whole saga, because it's a completed trilogy. I don't know what considers a saga in regards to books, or if that's even the correct terminology. It is a trilogy. Premises of the story. I'm gonna do my best to like not give too much, spoilery, and to do my best to articulate, because it's probably one of the most complex books I've read in a minute. That's, it has so much history, so much like political context, I guess, so to speak. So we follow our main character, who's Rin, and she's from it's pretty much, it doesn't say it because it's all fantasy. It's a fantasy book, but it's pretty much China. The author, it's written by R.F. Kuang. This is her debut novel, which is, for it to be her debut novel, is so beautifully done. She's pursuing, or at the time when this was all coming out, or maybe she's already done, she's pursuing her PhD in East Asian languages and literature at Yale. So there's a lot of like Chinese history background, at least from like me just guessing what these countries represent in real world. I could be totally wrong. To take this with a grain of salt. So we follow Rin, who it's all told in her POV. There's a couple of other POVs, very, very tiny. It's mainly her POV, like almost 90% of the whole series. So we follow Rin, who is, it's described several times, she's dark-skinned, she's poor, she is a war orphan. She comes from the lowly province of the Rusta province, from a small Hickville town, Tikani, and she wants something more to life than her situation, which is dealing with kind of like, I think, a medicine shop, but her foster mother is actually a poppy dealer. So there's a big element of like the war on drugs, and it's a big theme for a good part of the story. It does change to like revolution and taking back your land type of situation. So anyway, so book 1, we follow her. I like totally forget what it's called, because each book is like 600 pages. And I've been listening to audiobook, which has been really good. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know. So anyways, every year there's this massive test that people study for years, like the royal study for years. Like, it's super big, it's very extensive, it follows like political script, like literature and all kinds of stuff, like a philosophy of like war and stuff like that, or just like everything in general, but like it's like SAT on crack. Like, it's really rigorous. And she's about to be married off to a much older man. It starts off, she's like 16, 15, 16. She's very young, and she's like, oh God, no, I do not want to be married off. And her foster mother's trying to convince her, so she convinces a tutor in her town, Tutor Ferrick, to please tutor her, and he's like, that's impossible, like, please, I'll do whatever. So she like literally almost kills herself studying. That's like huge. She's like, sleepless nights. She's already, before I continue on, trigger warning for the whole book, there is drug use, there is physical, mental, emotional abuse, like everything you could think of in a trigger warning list is there for sure. That's not, I know I talk a lot about like romance and stuff like that. It's not like, dom-com and like consensual. It's like I said, drugs, physical, mental, emotional abuse, child abuse, genocide. Like, it's bad. So maybe she, like, on her website, if she has one, has a list of because I've only seen trigger warning list for romance books. I'm not sure if that's kind of like spread wide in other genres. Anyways, so Rin studying her ass off to take this test. It's in my tongue what it is. So she goes and she makes a deal with her foster mother, and she's like, well, fine, how are you gonna pay for it? She's like, this and that. So she places number 1 in her whole province, which is like insane, unheard of, and everyone's like looking down on her because she's dark skinned. She's an war orphan. They like interrogate her for almost 2 hours to see if she cheated and all that stuff. The school that she gets placed into is Synagard, which is the military school, and if you get placed in there, it's free. You don't have to, like, because there's like a school of like history, literature, architecture, and all kinds of stuff, but she gets placed into Synagard, which is the military school of Nikata, which is the country she's in. So Nikata is the country, she's in province of Brewster province. So yeah, so book one is like her whole journey through school. It is so brutal, like the studying, all, because she's like looked down on from the moment she walks on. They're like, you know, because of the color of her skin, how dark she is, and just kind of like where she came from, the Brewster province. Tikani is like literally a hick back, like Boondies, like what even is that, you know, type of city. So we just can, and then in all of book one, it really lays the foundation for the rest of the series. She learns about, which they're like, oh, we're far away from that. Not really. She does 3 years of Synagard before all hell breaks loose. But, you know, and like there's different, so there's the master of strategy, master of like the front lines, like war and stuff like that, master of medicine. And after your first year, you kind of like you turn into an apprentice, and you get like an offer letter. And at first she wants to be like strategist, but there's this one teacher, Master John, which I love him. He's like one of my favorite characters, and he teaches lore, which, you know, it's kind of like a big joke in the school. No one does it. No one's ever finished his class. There's been 2 students who did his class but like went crazy and had to leave the school before they even graduated and all this stuff. But slowly we start learning about the magic element of the series, which is called shamanism, where someone pretty much makes a, how would you call it, on the tip of my tongue, like a deal with a god. And there's like a pantheon, and she like learns that this plane that she lives on is not reality. Like there's something much higher, and there's these gods that are vengeful and nasty or whatever. And like it's a grueling process of her learning and accepting it. And like Jung's mysterious and silly, and like it seems like he's constantly like on drugs and stuff like that. So that's just like the whole journey of book one. And then like I said, she's there for 3 years, so she's like, by the end, you know, she's supposed to be in school for like 6 or something like that, but she's only there for 3 years or 5. So she got there when she's 16. I would have to say that by the time war breaks out, the third Poppy War, which is really big deal, is I'd have to say she's 17 when war breaks out. And this war is the Muganese coming over and invading. And it's just insanity from here on out, for sure. So that's kind of like the synopsis, roughly. There's a ton of other stuff. Again, it's like a 600-page book. So well done. Characters, the injustice she goes through is just like, for example, this is not really spoiling anything, but since she's so young, she all of a sudden becomes sick, and like really sick. She wakes up and her bed is like covered in blood, and she's like, what the hell is happening to me? She has her period, and it's like debilitating for her, which it is for a lot of people. It is for me, some cycles where it's like, it's like a knife being jagged, twisted, and ripped out over and over again. So she's experiencing like excruciating pain and everything like that, and it's like setting her back. She's missing classes, and if you miss class, you're like months behind. Like it's so grueling. It's so the like highest elite school, like again, like on crack. Like they pound stuff into you and all that stuff. She's like asking her like older peers, like, what can I do? They're like, oh, you could destroy your room, but like no one does that. Don't you want a family? And she's like, hell to the no. So she goes to the infirmary and goes through the whole grueling process. I don't know, like she takes like this drink and it just like destroys her on the inside. And she does whatever it takes to stay in this school. Like this is her future, and she wants something better in her life. And, you know, if she gets kicked out of this, she has nothing to go to. She's not going to go back to her province. She has no family. She has no money to her name, all this kind of stuff. She's like, I'm trying to be a soldier. This is all I can do. And anyways, so continuing on, she does make a deal with a god. It's not really spoiling it, I don't think. But then it's just like her journey of battle. Like she literally has this god, this demon inside of her that's like, you know, you slowly just losing your mind. So then we go into book 2 is book 2, The Dragon Republic. So war's still happening, all this stuff. She's a part of this group called the Sykes, which it's a group of assassins, and they are all shaman, and they work for the Empress Daji. And there's like so many, I don't know. Here's all of the Poppy War. I'm like not even past the cap in explaining anything, to be honest with you. But book two is just her, working with the psych, which is the shaman assassin group. The leader of the psych is called Alton, and he's a Spearly, which a Spearly is, she would say, a race. It's almost like a race. It's a nationality of an island that was destroyed in the Second Poppy War 20 years ago. And she discovers, I'm not going to say that. I guess that's too much spoiling. Anyway, so and it's like this constant battle that she has of praise, like attachment disorder almost, and wanting praise even though the person who's praising her is borderline like straight up abusive to her, using her, mistreating her, manipulating her, like, kind of like gaslighting her constantly, wants to be needed. It's just like this constant battle. So something's discovered about this war that's going on, and betrayal and stuff like that. A lot of betrayal, a lot of political injustice, and like genocide out the wazoo. Like, it's just crazy. And then a revolution starts. She runs away. She gets kind of like recaptured, her and her group. And she's like, kind of, like, oh, the gentleman is not gentleman, he's an asshole. I hate him. Viceroy, he is the dragon lord, and he's trying to revolutionize a republic, one government. Like, let's help Nikata, let's help our people. Yeah, it is just a wild ride. I'm, again, barely down this cap in explaining everything, but it is so well done. It is very graphic, very brutal, like I said. Finishing, I'm like honestly kind of like dragging because I know the end, I spoiled it for myself. I think I'm glad, because I think I would have been too in shock if I didn't. But like, I am like literally, I think I only have 4 chapters left, but these are hefty chapters for sure. I had 10 chapters yesterday, and I think I read 2 or 3. But yeah, so I highly recommend it. I went in blind, like as blind as I could go. I just kept seeing it, and I didn't even remember what people were saying. They were just like, you need to read this if you don't read this. And TikTok was right on this one. I don't think I would read a very like political book again, because it's just, she did such a good job of like making it feel real, and it has been real, because there was genocide, and there was like discrimination, there was just like poverty, famine, and just brutality of war, just so vividly put on page. I felt like I was in the corner fighting for my life the whole book. Like, I didn't cry like that one book series that like wrecked me. What is it called? I already posted a video about it. I'll put it here. So yeah, it's not like that, at least not for me. It is brutal. A lot of people have like wept and cried and stuff like that. There has been like, there's a lot of death. Like, don't get too attached. Like, it's just kind of crazy. Okay, and then so this is kind of like, this is most definitely like October, November TBR. I have other things I've added on my list that I will share, but I am reading this series next. Actually, I might do like a little palette cleanser of like, I haven't read something just filthy, smutty, terribly written in a minute. Oh, I'm getting a pain. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I almost died. Okay. So I'm reading, I don't know what series this is. Because it's not like the Smiths family like saga or whatever. So it's Kerrigan Brine. I read this one, The Highwayman. So good. So good. Oh my god. It was like, I had a friend on Instagram. She's like, she always talked about it, and I finally got my hands on the audiobook. Wow. It was phenomenal. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. It was so heartbreakingly beautiful. And this is like the rest of that part of that series, where it's the same characters featured throughout. So the Hunter, the Highlander, and the Duke. So I love her books. I read a couple of them in these previous months, and I look forward to reading that. And FYI, at least I don't know if there aren't anymore, but all of these were free on Audible when I had my account, and like it stays in your Audible profile. So I got all of them, and then I just checked them out all from my local library. Also, to my TBR, I'm going to read Wuthering Heights. I'm quite excited. I read a little bit of it long ago. Still reading Jane Eyre, and I have a couple other I'm trying to, this is like the last books I want to check out from the library for a minute and kind of like read my books that I have and then proceed to, what's the word? Put them away, like box them up and put them in storage, because all my books are in storage and I think about them every day. Okay, lastly, which you'll see then now the old clips from previous days, I'm making my son's Halloween costume. Very excited. This year he wants to be a angler slime from Slime Rancher 2, and I'm keeping it simple because he's like very finicky and gets bothered and doesn't like things on him for too long, and I want him to be comfortable. That's the biggest thing I've learned as a parent. I only have one child, but I'm from a large family. But for sure, keep your kid comfortable. That is the most important thing. So I am doing a, whatchamacallit, it's going to be like a headpiece. I'll put a picture of what the angler slime looks like, and what I did was a paper mache balloon, and the shape of it is like fish-like. If you put it sideways, I paper mache it. I did like 6 layers or so like that. It's pretty solid. I popped the balloon. It kind of lost a little bit of shape from the bottom, but we're going to be able to put it on top of a cap, as you'll see, and I'm very excited to share that. Hello. So it's been maybe 1 or 2 days since my last clip. I am very behind on my son's Halloween costume, so I'm going to get it started, and hopefully I can do several layers today in between drying. I don't want it to be too heavy since it's going to be like sitting on his head. I did start it and I was making it really big, and I was just like, I don't think it needs to be that big, so it can be kind of like a helmet thing. So we'll see. So I have balloons. I cut a bunch of strips of paper. I have gloves. And I have my paper mache paste. Is it still? Ooh, it smells funky. Let me see. Here. Kind of just had it sitting on the counter. I didn't really think to refrigerate it. I just did hot water, flour, and salt, and so I got like that kind of consistency. And it's fermenting, I guess that's the smell, but yeah. Try not to lay it on too thick. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, I can't tell you measurements. I just did it till I got, like, it's sticking on the back of the spoon, but it's dripping, so yeah, I'm gonna get started, and hopefully in the next, what's today's date? Today's 18th, so hopefully in the next 3 days I can, like, get the structure, and then the painting and everything else will be, like, nothing. So yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm just gonna make the balloon this big. It was like a lot bigger than that when I first did it. My biscuits. Gloves. There we go. Shit. My glove is getting stuck in there. So this is gonna be the tail and the front, and once, I mean, you know, if you don't know, if you wrap, you know, you can make a piñata like this too. You make sure you leave an opening at the bottom to pop the balloon. But I think structurally this will be enough. And then I can just kind of cut away so it's like sits on top of his head. I might just use one of my like walking hats that I don't really use anymore because it's kind of like old and dingy to like, so he can put it on his head like that, since it's going to be very dome-like. So I could have this, I don't know how well this is gonna do, but let's get started. Okay, I have managed to do 1 layer. The key is to make sure that there's no gaps, but that it's a thin layer so it dries properly. I have my window open, so hopefully the fresh air can help it dry faster, and I'll for sure try to maybe hit it with a air blow dryer a little bit, but I try to make the glue or the mache part as thin as possible. It's a lot different consistency than I did many years ago, but I still think it's a good consistency, at least for paper. So I am going to refrigerate it because I don't know, I don't want it to like spoil before I finish using it. So I think my goal will be 4 layers. I think that'll be enough so it's like maintains its form and structure, but not too heavy that's gonna sit on top of my son's like head and shoulders. So like this is the, yeah, it's gonna be the tail end, and then I left the bottom unmachete there. Okay, quick little update. I have done all my layers on my balloon and I popped the balloon. The shape is perfect. We're actually going for like, it's almost going to be a helmet. I have an old walking cap like I mentioned in the previous clip that I'm just going to kind of attach it to somehow. A cap I don't use, so I'm okay if I lose it. And it has like a blue bill, so it'll kind of blend. Not the same shade of blue. So we just finished painting the first layer. It's not really picking up here. I think I've already put a picture of a angler slime, so I'll put that again. So I'm gonna wait till it dries a little bit. I'm gonna put another layer because there's some white streaks, but I'm not gonna go crazy because it's, you know, it's getting the paper mache wet. And I was gonna do this for the top fin, but as you can see, that happens. So tomorrow I'm going to pop into my local craft store and just pick up some cheap air dry clay, mold it, make sure it's like lightweight, and then I have some E40 and I'll glue the bits like the tail, the 2 fins on the side, and like the dorsal fin. And we need to go find a stick outside, one that's not too thick, not too long, not too skinny, to then put the lure thing on top, and then we'll draw the face on it. Super excited. Hi, so I have
stacking apples.
Okay, well, we're gonna review a new kind of apple. What's your name?
Olive.
This is Oliver, and we just picked up a bag of Snapdragon apples
From Aldi's.
From Aldi's. It was 99 cents a pound, so I thought it was a good deal. And we have them cut up here, and we're gonna try them with
cookie butter, sunflower butter,
and sunflower butter, and see what we think. Okay, so here's cookie butter. Let's see. The cinnamon.
The cookie.
The cookiness. Super delicious. Now we're gonna try with the sunflower butter.
What do I like?
You don't like? Okay.
And
this is our second apple.
Yeah.
Fun. Here's some water. He's not a fan of that. So which one's your favorite? The cookie butter? Nice. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, so I just wanted to do a quick little outro. Hopefully this video wasn't too all over the place. I'm almost done with the Halloween costume. I'm waiting for the pieces to dry that I molded together out of air dry clay, but here is the face. So super cute. I'm so excited to see it come together. I gotta figure out how to place it on his head because now it just like falls onto his head and doesn't exactly sit on the cap like I predicted. So, but I'll, on my community thing, I'll post like a picture when we're all said and done. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe if you care to keep following my just yappiness of like books that I read and everything like that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.